Hello, everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you, Stephen. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach for trading. First of all, I believe options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. And certainly for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, the equity future indexes, as well as the large cap tech stocks that I follow and trade. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. ES is a derivative of SPX, and SPY is the ETF version of that index. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. And again, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. And give me just a moment here. Sorry about that. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow on Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups or entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups in that asset can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat in YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Suzette, Stephen, welcome, glad you're here. Here's my agenda for today, Thursday, March 21st. Normally, I go over news items, economic data, and events. There were none today or for the rest of the week, no high-impact events or economic data. The big event was the FOMC announcement and press conference yesterday. Very bullish reaction to that. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, so again, no news items, so let's move on to positional analysis. Let's get started with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures in Bookmap. Consolidation day today after a big move yesterday. The ES, this is again ES futures in Bookmap, trading at a very narrow range. Hello, Depeche. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so let's step back, take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index. That's a SPX again. This is the current rally that began last year, October 30th. And this rally SPX did move to all-time highs. I believe that was earlier today. And so far this rally, SPX has rallied up 1,150 points from low to high, and shows no sign of slowing down. All right, so that's the current context, the rally, 1,150 points. Now let's take a look at a 30-day 1-hour chart. This is the top of that rally. Looks like the high is actually right at 52.61. So that's the green trend line that I drew that was shown on the 1-day chart. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines, the horizontal lines, are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. SPX broke above the upper weekly expected move yesterday. Again, that bullish reaction to the FOMC. That's based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX on Friday. Those lines remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. Also based on the options market, that's from the closing price from yesterday. And I do post those levels in Discord every day in the Options-Doug chat channel. All right, I'm going to zoom in on this just a little bit. All right, the other lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are levels that are proprietary to Spotgamma. They're provided to subscribers. They're available on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, 5,000. That's the put wall. And that's also the absolute gamma strike. So the put wall is the strike where the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And the absolute gamma strike is the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. All right, the next level up is the volatility trigger at 51.90. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to increase or enhance volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. So again, SPX is trading well above its volatility trigger. And that level did move higher from yesterday. Then finally, the call wall has now moved up to 52.50. So after remaining at 5,200 for quite some time, the call wall has now moved up. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So the potential ceiling is actually below the current price. It looks like SPX may be heading back down a little bit. So that's the call wall at 5,200. That did move up from yesterday, and the volatility trigger also moved up from yesterday. So that is bullish, with those two levels moving higher. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. So this is right at 2 p.m. yesterday. Bullish reaction to the FOMC announcement, and then another bullish reaction as the press conference began. Jerome Powell indicated that the FOMC was still on target for 3 rate cuts. So big move yesterday and then very narrow consolidation today. Note this 5260 level. I drew this in by hand. This was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders note, and they were right on there. That 5260 level acting as resistance multiple times today. And we'll see that on the bookmap chart in just a moment. And note that SPX is trading above its volatility trigger again, above the 5250 call wall and the upper daily expected move, but that 5260 level acting as resistance today in this very narrow range. All right, here's Bookmap. And in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. There's that 5260 level acting as resistance today. Here's the 5250 call wall. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. So right now the ES to SPX offset is right around 61 points. That's what I'm using. So I'm showing the 5250 level, the call wall, SPX 5250 call wall at ES 5311. I'm also showing SPY levels on this chart. There's the SPY 524 level, just above the 5260 level. Also key levels for ES. There's the upper daily expected move for ES. All right, so for today, again, very narrow range, just around 10 points. The key is the 5260 acting as resistance, and the call wall 5250 around that level actually acting as support. All right, shifts in levels, again, for SPX, volatility trigger, call wall shifted higher, and for SPY, the same shifts higher in levels. Volatility trigger shifted higher, and the call wall also shifted higher to 525. So according to SPY, the S&P 500 still has a little bit of room to run higher up to the SPY call wall. So bullish shifts higher in levels for SPX and SPY. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And I do want to take a look at the underlying index charts before I take a closer look at this chart. Let's go to QQQ. Let me zoom in on this chart. QQQ also trading at a very narrow range. Broke this downtrend around 1130, around the European close. Resistance somewhere around the 449 level. Now maybe support at 448. Note these are just round number levels in QQQ. There are no Spotgamma levels in play for QQQ today. And that is the same for NDX. $230 rally, gap up, then consolidation. All of the Spotgamma levels are below price for NDX. All right, back to the NQ futures and Bookmap. Again, I have my own cloud notes so I can show QQQ levels. There's the 449 level, 448. Also key levels for key levels for NQ. Looks like I need to add more lines for NQ. Give me just a moment here. I'm updating my spreadsheet. Forgot to turn on those lines. This is what I use. I use price lines. Now let's refresh levels. And that should show the 650, NQ 650 and 700 levels. So there's that. There are the lines now. Whoops. So I added those levels this morning, just forgot to turn them on. All right, so those levels now added. All right, so key NQ levels, QQQ levels, and NDX levels. All right, shifts in levels for the NASDAQ. For the put wall, the NDX, the put wall did shift higher. And for QQQ, just like SPX and SPY, the volatility trigger and call wall both shifted higher. So that's bullish for QQQ. Call wall now at 450. So QQQ trading below that. So still room to run for QQQ. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional. Let's see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. To wrap up positional analysis. So this is gamma notional, market makers position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. This is what I focus on. Note all these numbers are positive, indicating for an index, Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. So again, that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. So after the big move yesterday and the shift to more positive gamma from yesterday, a range day narrow consolidation is certainly to be expected. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. All right, I'm going to start with the S&P 500. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, is based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data. They apply their algorithms to that data to come up with the levels that were shown on my charts. So all that information comes from Spotgamma. It's updated every day. So I track those key daily levels every day and display them on my chart, as well as the round number levels. All right, so now let's move on to execution. We'll look at real-time options trades. So that's how I like to start, looking at options trades, market maker hedging activity. So this is the hero signal, HIRO, hero signal. This is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, showing all into one combined signal. A falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. When traders take negative delta positions, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. A rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. So the basic pattern today is after a quick move up at the open, a move down, reversal higher, then right around 1230. Options traders have taken their foot off the gas, and now the S&P 500 is moving lower without that fuel of options traders taking positive delta positions. All right, so let's focus on this long setup right around 950. So I'm going to zoom in on this chart. So again, just to be clear, the white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. All right, so let me zoom in on this chart. All right, Anurag, welcome, glad you're here. Says, I purchased yearly membership of Spotgamma. How can I add more space to the right of the chart so I can anticipate where the price is going? I don't believe there's any way to do that. I suggest if you have any questions, specific questions like that about Spotgamma, you can send your questions to Spotgamma support, info@spotgamma.com. So as far as I know, there's no way of doing that. This chart should scroll to the left automatically. All right, so let's take a look. One other thing that I want to point out today, and Compulsive Guy apparently is not able to watch the webinar live, but mention this in Discord. I'm going to turn on show extended hours for the S&P 500. So for stocks, options trades start at the cash open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So that is true for the SPY component of the signal, but SPX and ES options do trade before the cash open. So this is the cash open. This is the cash open right here, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So note the hero signal was moving lower before the cash open, with what looks like several large block trades shown by the vertical lines there. Also a flow alert indicating significant options activity that came in just after 8:30. So at 9:30, the total net negative notional value at the cash open was already minus minus 2 billion. So that's quite negative for the cash open. All right, so that sets the scene for the cash open. Now I'm going to turn off extended hours. All right, so initially, there's the flow alert. Hero signal moves up and down, then right around 950 starts to reverse higher and continues to move higher up until about 12:30. Again, when options traders have taken their foot off the gas. All right, so let's go look at Bookmap. Let's focus on this 930 reversal higher. And that bearish or negative delta before the cash open was just something that you take into account, but not necessarily a signal in itself. I normally don't start trading until about 9:45 or something like that. So there was a good short opportunity, but the long opportunity here, we can take a look at that. Let's go back to ES. Zoom in. So here's the cash open, 9:30. Initial move down. Support at the 5250 call wall. Note that large traders were buying with iceberg orders. That's shown by the rising light blue line, also the on-chart indicator. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. So aggressive buyers start to come in. That's the initial move, lower, higher, and then here's the 950 move that I'm talking about. So large traders have been buying with iceberg orders. Cumulative volume delta rising. This was kind of a choppy reversal. It took quite some time, maybe about 10 minutes. Final test of that 5250 level, then the SPY 523 level. Aggressive buyers start to come in as options traders were taking positive delta positions and price moves higher. Pullback entries up to the 5260 resistance level. Notice price starts to move higher. Aggressive buyers continue. Cumulative volume delta continues to rise. Also, buy stop orders fuel the move higher. That's shown by the rising yellow line, as traders continue to take positive delta positions. All right, now again, remember 1230. Options traders took their foot off the gas. And again, the S&P 500 reversed lower at the 5260 level, 524 level. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. And Anurag asked, is there a way to detach the window? So again, I suggest sending all your Spotgamma support questions to info@spotgamma.com. And also, you can just create another browser window. So that's the easiest way to do it. So that's the only way I know to detach it. And Justin, welcome. Glad you're here. Ask, hey, Doug, do you think we should give the big orders attention and think about the market as an auction? So yes and no. All right, as far as big orders, yes. So I do pay attention to what large traders are doing with iceberg orders, and also smaller traders are doing with stop orders. So that is key information for trading the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So watching icebergs and stops. Now, as far as thinking about the market as an auction, that certainly a lot of people do that. A lot more people think about market auction theory rather than my approach. My approach is that options traders and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price for price action. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with futures. And they could care less about price. All they're doing, their only job is to make markets and manage their risk, remain delta neutral. They don't want to take any directional risk. So they don't care what price they are buying or selling the instrument they're using to hedge. So that's my approach. That's just me. I'm not looking at the market as an auction. I'm looking at it as options trades and market maker hedging activity driving price. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Let's go take a look at NASDAQ now. All right, so NASDAQ is also reversed higher. Right around the QQQ 449 and the NQ 700 level. Let's see what options traders are doing. So I'm going to go back to Hero. And before I leave this chart, I do want to shift over to puts and calls so we can get more clarity about what traders are doing today. So the orange line, I'm going to have to jump and then jump back to avoid the auto zoom. All right, so what this is showing, The orange line is showing calls. So the slope of these lines is an indication of delta. So a rising orange line indicates traders are taking positive delta positions in calls. They are buying calls. Rising orange line, traders are buying calls. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades. They have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. So this gives better clarity, more nuance about what is going on today. So up until about 12:30, traders were buying calls in those underlying index products, took their foot off the gas, and price starts to move lower. So initially, traders were buying puts, that's shown by the falling blue line. They took their foot off the gas. So as traders continued to buy calls, traders stopped buying puts right around 9:50. That's when price reversed higher. A little bit of consolidation here in the orange line. They resume buying calls. Sorry about all the arrows on the screen. And price moves higher. All right, you're welcome, Justin. Ask another question. Let's say you open up NASDAQ in the morning. What is it you have to see to take a high probability trade? All right, so let's take a look at that. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to go to the MAG 7 signal. Let me show you what this is. All right, so just like the S&P 500, this is also a combined signal. This is what I like to look at for trading the NASDAQ. This is a combined signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. These stocks make up a very large component of the NASDAQ 100, and they are often drivers of price in the NASDAQ 100. So that's generally why I like to look at the signal. All right, so let's focus on this signal. And notice, let's zoom in just a little bit. So from the open, traders in the MAG 7 stocks, they were buying puts, that's shown by the falling blue line. They were also selling calls. So both bearish. Generally, the call line somewhat choppy, really being a stronger driver of price action. But traders were taking negative delta positions. Again, they were buying puts, selling calls. I'm looking for a short entry. And then both the blue line and the orange line turn higher around 1040. So this is where I would look for a long. Otherwise, in the morning, looking for a short. All right, Depeche asks, can the software work on Indian market? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe there are anything other than U.S. equities on this chart. So you can, if you're interested, you can send an email to Spotgamma, info@spotgamma.com. Now, of course, Bookmap does work for Indian stocks, I believe. So there is thank you, Stephen. So there is a streamer and a room in Bookmap Discord for the Indian market. All right, Justin says, whoa, it's the first time I'm hearing about MAG 7. This MAG 7 has been all over the news for months. And this is a very key signal here in Hero, looking at what these 7 stocks are doing. All right, so for Justin asked, would you be looking at a high time frame on that, or would you have Bookmap open, seeing it move? So when I'm trading during the day, I'm primarily looking at my analysis is based on positional analysis, as I said at the beginning. I'm looking how the levels shift from day to day, and then I'm looking at what options traders are doing during the day to confirm my thesis and for setups. So go back to the beginning if you missed that, and I briefly cover my approach. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now. Let's go to NASDAQ. So we know the traders were taking negative delta positions in the NASDAQ up until about 1040. All right, so here's NQ futures and Bookmap. And note that NASDAQ was making a series of lower highs, shown by this trend line here, and then reverses higher. Looks like around 1115, as traders were taking positive delta positions, both the blue line and orange line moving in this same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator, indicating traders were buying calls and selling puts in the Mag 7 stocks. So a short entry from the open as traders were taking negative delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. Then a long entry as traders started taking positive delta positions and price broke above the trend line, that downtrend line at QQQ 448 and NQ 650. Let's go back to Hero. Zoom out. All right, so notice right around 1240. Call buyers, shift to call sellers. Put sellers take their foot off the gas. Now they are selling calls, shown by the falling orange line. They're also buying puts. Again, now both orange line and blue line moving the same direction. Very powerful directional indicator in this direction down. All right, Justin, you're welcome. All right, let's take a look at some stocks now. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. And Justin, are you talking about, are you a Spotgamma subscriber? So if you can't find it on your chart, you can just type in here, Mag 7. You should be able to find it. And you can pin it. All right, let's move on. I want to take a look at Apple. All right, so Apple was in the news today. Apparently the U.S. Justice Department is suing Apple. So note the alert. Right after the cash open, traders are buying puts, selling calls. Again, blue line, orange line moving the same direction. Apple moves lower, moving down toward the 170 put wall. And that would be a target for a short today as traders continue to take negative delta positions. Let's go to Apple. All right, Adirag says, sorry I could not hear. How's my sound? Can anybody else having a difficulty with sound? I do have a new headset today. Just let me know if you can hear me. All right, WRB says sound is good in Discord. And it looks like sound is good in YouTube as well. Anurag asks, how do I detach window, please? I'm not sure what window you're talking about. So if it has to do with Spotgamma, please send the question to info@spotgamma.com. All right, so Apple, great short setup here today. And KP says, sounds great, great, loud and clear. All right, thank you very much. And Justin, thanks for the confirmation as well. And you're welcome for the answers. All right, so short, Apple, setup, 177 as traders take negative delta positions. Let's go back to Hero. The next one I want to take a look at is AMD. AMD short setup in the morning. Traders are selling calls. Another flow alert comes in indicating significant options activity. No, just about a minute after the cash open, traders started selling calls. Take the foot off the gas, start buying calls. Price moves higher. Now, traders are again selling calls and buying puts, and AMD is moving lower. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. There's the move lower. At the cash open, as traders were selling calls. Move higher as they started buying calls, and then now they're buying puts and selling calls, price moving lower again. Let's take a look next at Google. Go take a look at Hero. So at the open, traders were buying puts and selling calls in Google. Another flow alert to get your attention. Significant options activity. Price moves lower. Now they have taken the foot off the gas. They actually, this was a large block order, a large institution buying calls. So they've stopped buying puts. And price is consolidating. Let's go back to Bookmap. Short setup in Google. Move on to NVIDIA. All right, Tony asks, does the flow alert give opposite of directional movement? I think Spotgamma stats show that a larger percentage of the flow alerts can indicate mean reversion or a mean reverting signal. I believe that is just the case for the S&P 500. I don't know if they've done any studies on stocks. When I'm looking at a flow alert at the beginning of the day, I'm looking to trade in the direction. That is my experience, that flow alert at the beginning of the day is typically indicating a direction, bullish or bearish. And then it could be a mean reverting signal later on in the day. I've been using Hero several years before the flow alerts were available. So I'm used to just looking at the Hero signal without alerts. So the alerts just provide some additional confirmation for me and something to get my attention. So one approach that I've talked about for trading is looking for flow alerts during the day and the beginning of the day. Well, if I have time at the end, we'll take a look at for some alerts. Good time. Yeah, I'll get to FedEx in just a moment. All right, so here's NVIDIA. Down, up, down. Let's see what options traders are doing today. Go to NVIDIA. It looks like Call sellers, call buyers, driving price action today. Let's focus on the orange line. Initial short. There are a couple of flow alerts coming in, and I would certainly interpret those as bearish. Something to get my attention to look for short. Call sellers, take the foot off the gas. They start buying calls. Price moves higher. And during the day, the blue line, the put line, is pretty much flat. Notice the notional value here, right around 11.5, 11.6 million versus 562 million for the call line. Both these numbers are positive. So net for the day, they had been selling puts and buying calls. Again, 12:45, take the foot off the gas, price moves lower. All right, the next is Tesla. And Tony, you're welcome. All right, Tesla. Kind of up and down today, mostly down. Let's take a look at the total signal. Sometimes that provides a little bit more clarity for Tesla. I'm going to have to jump. Also provides a little bit more clarity for NVIDIA today. Down, sideways, up, then down again. Tesla initially reversal lower, some chop around the 177.50 call wall. Then traders start taking negative delta positions. And note right around 10 a.m., this flow alert comes in. So there you go, Tony. This is definitely a mean reverting hero signal. So this gets your attention at 10 a.m. You see the hero signal start to rise. Let's zoom in on this. Let me zoom in. All right, so key points here. Resistance at the 177.50 call wall. Now this flow alert doesn't come in until 10 a.m. and price has been moving down for quite some time. Hero signal jumps higher. And then price starts to move higher. Here's another flow alert, well into the move higher. Shortly after, options traders take their foot off the gas. That's right around 11:10, and Tesla moves lower. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Tesla. All right, so there's that move higher right at 10 a.m. Note here in this case that cumulative volume delta was decreasing. That's somewhat of a bearish signal. Even though price was moving higher, all CVD could do was move sideways. A move up, good for a couple points in Tesla. Then traders start taking negative delta positions again. Remember that flow alert. Price moves lower. All right, let's go back to Hero. So mean reverting alert. And options traders take their foot off the gas, shift from positive delta to slightly negative. Another flow alert comes in, and then the hero signal shifts to very negative. All right, good time wants to take a look at FedEx. All right, I don't have that in Bookmap. We can take a look here in Hero, see if options traders are doing anything. So they are taking positive delta positions in FedEx, but this is a pretty thin market as far as options trades go. 8.5 million total. but they are taking positive delta positions. Let's just see what they're doing. Go to puts and calls. So they're buying calls today. Notional value 9.9 million for calls, minus 1.3 million for puts. So call buyers driving price for FedEx. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's shift back to the total signal. Let's see what they're doing in Mag 7. All right, so now Mag 7 signal may be shifting higher. All right, I want to show one other thing. This is a new feature in Spotgamma. Let's see if I can find it. All right, so this is scanners. This is new. This is another approach for finding stocks to trade. So this is the squeeze scanner. Highlight stocks that have potential for explosive upside move based on short interest gamma levels, options volume, and a proprietary Spotgamma formula. So I checked this today, and these stocks all appeared on the list here. I didn't have time to add any of these. I just looked at this during lunch. I didn't have time to add any of these to Bookmap. I did add them to, so you can add them to a watch list here. So I created a new watch list called Scan. So let's just take a look at a couple of those stocks. So first of all, let's take a look at Micron. So Micron reported earnings after the close yesterday, and it was up pretty substantially pre-market. Let's zoom in on this. So there was an initial move lower, then just right around 9:35, traders started taking positive delta positions, and price moved higher. Let's separate out puts and calls. My guess is they're buying calls. So they are buying puts and buying calls, but call buyers are much more aggressive than the put buyers. Price moving higher. All right, does anyone have any other stocks they want me to take a look at? We can take a look at more of these stocks in the scanner. Take a look at Carvana. Choppy day, very thin options trade, only 1.2 million. Take a look at Robinhood. Bullish in the morning, traders taking positive delta positions. They take their foot off the gas right around 10:30, and Robinhood consolidates. And good time, you're welcome. Tony, you're welcome as well. All right, any other stocks? Otherwise, let's go back to the S&P 500. So it looks like now traders are starting to take positive delta positions in the S&P 500. Big jump in the hero signal. Let's check Mag 7. So Mag 7 may be moving higher. All right, so let's go to Bookmap now. Check the S&P 500. S&P 500 continues to make lower highs, this time finding resistance at the 5250 call wall. Spotgamma assumes that anytime, especially for the S&P 500, when it's trading above its call wall, like the SPX call wall here, that is overbought. And typical 1 day and 5 day returns after that test of the call wall are negative, slightly negative. I believe that's the case. That's what their stats show. All right, so we'll see. It looks like options traders again were starting to take positive delta positions. So we'll see if this 5250 continues to act as resistance or price breaks above that level as well as that downtrend line. Let me redraw that, see if I can do a little bit better job of drawing that line. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. A lot of aggressive buyers coming in. Shown by the green volume dots. Let's go check the Mag 7 hero signal. So again, starting to move up now. Let's see what NVIDIA is doing. All right, hero signal for NVIDIA. Also starting to move higher. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. All right, for NVIDIA, maybe moving higher, maybe finding support. Cumulative volume delta, shown by the dark blue line on the subchart, continues to move higher. NVIDIA testing VWAP right now. That's shown by that light blue line. ES making higher highs, higher lows, trying to break back above the 5250 call wall. All right, last call for stocks. Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, Slow to Razi says, yeah, I did check Apple. Here's Apple in the news today. Very bearish. Nanny wants to take a look at Mara. All right, I don't have Mara in Bookmap. We can take a look at Hero. All right, Mara. Right around 10:30, traders started taking negative delta positions. Mara moving lower. Looks like Mara is heavily driven by options traders. All right, slow to Razi, if you did miss the earlier part of the session, I did talk about Apple briefly. All right, Ace wants to look at QQQ. Let's just, let me point out one thing real quick. for NASDAQ, I typically look at the Mag 7 signal. And if I used to look, before the Mag 7 signal was available, I used to look at this NASDAQ signal, which combines NDX and QQQ, options trades and market maker hedging activity, into one combined signal. So if I'm looking at QQQ, I'd rather just look at this NASDAQ signal that combines NDX and QQQ. All right, so this does provide some additional insight. Traders are taking positive delta positions in NDX and QQQ, and most of that is QQQ. All right, Paul wants to look at TSM, Taiwan Semi, and then we'll call it a day. Taiwan Semi. Pretty flat day in Taiwan Semiconductor. Some bullish options trades, hedging flow at the beginning of the day, flow alert, and then that shuts off pretty quickly. And Taiwan Semi moves sideways. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for your comments, questions. Thank you for watching today. Everyone have a great afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, in Discord and in YouTube. All right, thanks again, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.